upbringing, ranking member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Texas Congressman Michael McCaul. Congressman, good morning to you.
Good morning, Senator.
Big hearing coming up at the top of the 10 o'clock Eastern Time hour on this. Where do things stand at this point with Iran?
Well, this came from threat streams that were reported that the top general in Iran called upon his proxies to prepare for war. We have to take that seriously. And since that time, we saw several attacks in the region. We saw 4 vessels of our allies being hit in the Persian Gulf. We saw Saudis being hit with drones. And then, I think most significantly, we saw a rocket launched in the green zone about a mile away from our embassy in Baghdad. So we take this threat seriously to our military and allies. And I think, as the Secretary of Defense just stated there, we're there, it's a measure of deterrence and defense to stop aggression on the part of Iran. And I do think we're having some success right now.
What are you hearing from top administration officials on this? We have heard that they do not want things to escalate. They do not want war with Iran. What specifically are you hearing, Congressman?
That they do not, the intention is not to go to war. I've talked to Ambassador Bolton, Secretary Pompeo. This is not our intention. I think that's being overblown. The intention is to protect our troops over there. Certainly, if our troops are hit by Iranian forces, we will respond with full force in retaliation. But let's hope that doesn't happen. I think the goal here is to de-escalate the situation. And by all accounts, it appears that the Iranians, now that they know we know, they got their hand caught in the cookie jar, are starting to sort of back down from this threat. I think a lot of this, Sandra, is caused by the maximum pressure campaign we put on them. The sanctions that we have levied on them have put them in such a desperate situation now that they're starting to respond in this fashion.
Depending on who was in that room yesterday with the briefing from Mike Pompeo and Pat Shanahan, you heard very different things. Here's Senator Chris Murphy, the Democrat from Connecticut, after that briefing.
This briefing was all about tactics, not about strategy. And that's been our worry from the beginning, that this is blind escalation with the hope that the Iranians will come to the table in the end, or there was no effort to lay out a thoughtful interdepartmental strategy for how this is ultimately going to wind up in a better deal.
All about tactics, not about strategy, said the senator. This is blind escalation. You both were in the same briefing yesterday, and you've spoken with administration officials. How do you respond to that?
This is about defending our allies and defending our military and our troops in the region. I can't imagine anybody being against that. In fact, Secretary Pompeo said, my God, if we were attacked over there, I hope you and Congress would support a response to that. I don't think the effort is to escalate this at all. It's to the contrary, to de-escalate. I think overall policy-wise, Secretary Pompeo laid out 12 points that he would like the Iranians to achieve to bring this conflict to a resolution.
And I know I've got to let you go, because before you go to that 10 o'clock hearing, a couple minutes from now, you're going to stop in at this immigration briefing. We know that McCaul and the acting DHS secretary is going to be updating you. What do you expect to come from that on the board?
Well, I think the Democrats are going to be highly critical, as they always are, and not going to be productive. I had my Goodlatte McCaul bill last Congress. It got brought down by every Democrat. We got to solve this problem. This migration problem is out of control, and everybody knows that. I think that's what we'll be talking to them about, are constructive ways. How can we work together to get this done, because it is a crisis. I live in Texas, and I see it firsthand.
Congressman Michael McCaul, you got a busy morning. We appreciate you stopping in America's Newsroom first. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
And meanwhile, the U.S.